I'll just hold off for a second.
Hold on one second. Yeah, Macy's at the door. Hold on. She's like, Dad, where are you? I think Mom's gonna get her. Okay,
Oh, nice.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Okay. Testing. Today on Here, wait. I'll just...
Yeah, let's go. I don't know when. Hold on.
That's all right. Because she's just getting close. I could hear it.
Yeah. Sorry, Bryant.
No, it's fine.
I'm just throwing that out.
All right, that's good. All right.
Okay, I think we're good.
Testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we mini mall.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me, as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how's it going?
I'm shocked, Scott Jones. I'm shocked that my cheesy joke that I just used at the top was not actually in the episode that we watched today. It was so on the nose that I expected when I was thinking about it while watching the episode, someone's going to say this in this episode, and yet they didn't.
Absolutely, you expect from the Keaton's Joni Mitchell reference, absolutely they should have done that.
Yeah, at least Keaton of all people. That would have been like your line to go out on the first act on.
Yes, it's perfect, it's brilliant. More brilliant than this episode.
Well...
It's like we were talking earlier. There's a lot to talk about and yet nothing to talk about.
Yes. This is in as far as listening to this episode, I think we're going to have some stuff to talk about, folks. I think you're not going to want to delete this episode. I think you're going to want to sit back and enjoy. But let me tell you, if you were sitting back and watching season 7, episode 13 of Family Ties, I would not be making the same recommendation.
No, and we're missing Corey today, so he's lucky he's out of this one. I'm sure he definitely needed the break.
Yeah, what's the title for this? I don't even remember.
I believe it's called Wrecking Ball.
Oh, the Miley Cyrus song.
The Miley Cyrus song. See, I'm so glad you went with the Joni Mitchell reference and not the Miley Cyrus reference.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, honestly, Miley Cyrus was not even born when this episode came out, right?
I don't think so.
1989 is when the episode is, but...
Well, let's shoot to say Miley Cyrus is like 24, 25.
Wow.
So no, she would be born in like around the 90s, wouldn't she?
Good gravy.
We're old, Paul.
I guess so.
Yeah, we are. If you're playing along at home, we are in season 7, episode 13, Wrecking Ball. Yeah, there's so much and so little to talk about this. Let's just kind of start it off. And if you're hearing that in the background, that is my lovely daughter not wanting to take a bath right now. So, and a shout out to my wife for taking care of her at this moment while Dad records an insane podcast.
Well, I think you could say that Maisie is crying because she doesn't want to take a bath. I like to think of her as keening for the Kavanaugh house.
Yes! She's just as upset as Elise.
Yes. Folks, this is the last season of Family Ties, and so far we've had heart attacks, we've had multiple people die, a dog die, all kinds of death.
Yeah, there's a...
And so now we have buildings dying.
They're just killing everything off.
I kind of like that. I like as a theme of a season is just death.
Death. This is how everything ends, y'all. Yeah. So we start off in the kitchen, and Mallory comes in and says she has kind of a new obsession, and she unfolds a poster of one of those medical posters of the human body with the muscles and everything, and she says she is going to get into shiatsu massage.
Which apparently was just invented in 1989 because everyone is acting like it's like from the Temple of Doom or something. Like they're cracking open monkeys' brains and doing racist Orientalism. They're just like, oh my god, shiatsu massage. What does that... Are you going to, like, break my legs? Is it sushi? I don't know what's happening. That's every character in this episode.
They're all freaking out over the word shiatsu. They're making jokes about it. And yeah, you're right, Paul. This is like 89. Oh, there's Maisie's okay, everybody.
She's okay.
She's okay, everybody.
Does she want to say hello?
You want to say hello? Say hi. Hi, bud. Say hi,
Hey! Hey, Henry.
Maisie.
Hey, Maisie. Oh, Scott, I just lost you.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Brian, we'll take a little pause here.
Yeah,
Hold on one second. Pause for a second, Brian.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, guys, I'll be right out there, okay? See you, bud. See you, buddy.
Bye, Henry. Bye, Maisie.
Oh, it's chaos, Paul.
It sounds like it. Did the phone just fall?
What's up?
Did the phone fall?
The fan in the room fell.
Oh, no.
It's okay. We're good. Is that buzzing too loud?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, let's pick it back up. Bryant will pick it back up with the comments on Shiatsu.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Paul, you're right. They are flipping out over the word Shiatsu. There's so many jokes about it. And you're right. This is when like Shiatsu, like getting a massage and everything had just like become a trendy thing.
I guess so. I guess people didn't. I mean, I remember like in gangster movies, like The Godfather, where it's like Mo Green's getting the massage, and there's like the big hairy guy that's massaging him, and then they shoot him in the eyeglasses. So like men used to get massages, and even from other men. So I don't understand what this is. I don't know. That like this Eastern tinge is something different.
Yeah, and maybe it's. I mean, it feels very like it's come to the Midwest, and it's like in malls now. Maybe massage. Like it's been. Yeah, it seems like maybe shiatsu massage was something rich people could do.
That could be it. Just that it's something that Gary Goldberg's wife did once, and so now he's obsessed with it, and he thinks it's dumb because girls like it. That must be it.
Can I just say I love that's your memory from The Godfather is Mo Green getting massaged and getting shot in the eye?
Well, I mean, I have other things that stick with me, but that's a hell of a moment.
It is a hell of a moment.
But I want to say this. They also do a thing, what makes me think of it as being like something that was like a fad in LA at the time type thing, is that they say without saying reflexology, which is now it's not a thing. But at that time, the idea that like everything connects to your feet and that like foot massage was this thing where it's like, if you press here, it helps with your neck. And if you press here, it helps with your spleen.
Yeah.
It was like a hip thing for a hot second.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of debunked.
Yeah, I guess it kind of shifted to maybe like more acupuncture kind of thing.
Sure.
As far as are you like a massage? Do you like getting a massage?
No,
I don't either. I never can relax.
I don't think I deserve it. I don't think.
You feel like your self-worth is less than.
Yeah, I don't think that I deserve to feel good. And like, if I don't have the tension, then who am I anymore?
Your brand is gone.
Exactly. So that's what like self-medicating is for. Things like drugs and alcohol, as opposed to just the nice thing of a person touching you warmly. I would much rather like destroy vital organs.
So it's like, Miss Paul, free massage. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't deserve this.
No, but if you have heroin, you can inject it right into my toenail. It's fine.
It has to be dirty and disgusting for me to appreciate that.
Yeah.
So while all this is going on, Elise is reading that her very first building that she was the architect on, the Kavanaugh building, is going to be torn down and a mini mall will be put in its place.
Obviously, Elise is upset, and also obviously, Mallory is excited because she loves anything with the word mall in it.
Right, which is a joke we've heard numerous times on this show.
Yeah.
This is the conflict of this episode is Elise's first building that she was the architect of being torn down. And my problem is doesn't seem to be like a very big conflict.
Yeah, that I think is the big. I don't really have much to add because you nailed it. There is no conflict in this episode. It's
right.
it's interesting because it feels like a long conversation about nostalgia and about the end of things and mortality and stuff like that. It's like a nice rumination. This episode does a great job of like talking about Elise's feelings and stuff like that. But as an episode of television where you have like a forward momentum and a conflict, there's nothing.
Yeah, no stakes are really raised. It really is. I mean, the height of it is her just kind of looking at a picture book of all her of the building. You know, like you're right. It is total nostalgia, which doesn't make for very active television.
I mean, it felt fine in the way that like having a long Sunday afternoon at a friend's house and you're going to start talking about shit and having some drinks and like by the like you get into like so how your parents doing and like and then you start talking about Trump and shit and like maybe someone starts crying and by the end of it you're like, what a great Sunday afternoon. By
the end of it you're like, Paul, are you okay? Is there something you need to talk about? Do we need
not a massage? But like, so I mean, this episode is fine to watch as just like, I don't know, like this character study thing. If it were a short film, it would be great.
Yeah.
As a sitcom, there's precious few laughs and not a lot of plot.
Right. And also what's frustrating is the whole time I'm watching this, the crux of it is, Meredith Baxter Birney's character, at least being an architect, and they've waffled on it so much. Like, okay, we're going to really dive into her being an architect. Well, they haven't really addressed that in like at least a season and a half, you know? And so it's hard to be that invested in her caring when it's not a regular part of the show. It's only when they feel like they need a plot point for Elise that they go to the architect thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's actually very interesting. Like, you would never have a show like that now. I mean, even a show 20 years old, like Friends.
Right.
What's her name? Jennifer Aniston's character was a server at the coffee shop, so you would see her there. Monica was a chef, and you would see her with multiple jobs, and every character had jobs that you would see them, and it wouldn't always be about that. But Family Ties has this amazing thing where they just abandon Elise's job, Alex's school, Mallory's school. Like, it's so weird that these characters, that you give them traits and then just ignore them for the better part of 2 seasons.
Yeah, I would even make the argument, I don't think there's been any growth with these characters at all from season 1 to now. I think the characters are essentially pretty much the same and have not been changed by the events that have happened to them.
It's tough because, we've talked about it before, the old episodic sitcom model that we're just not used to anymore. Now we're used to even sitcoms having season-long plots, series-long plots, and stuff like How I Met Your Mother, stuff like that. But, like, on a shitty show like Big Bang Theory, do you ever watch that?
I've watched a couple episodes.
Do they grow from season to season? I feel like they have more jokes that they've built upon.
I would say from what I've seen, the little points here and there, like it's definitely not my cup of tea, but it does seem the characters have changed and grown as they get into relationships. They become, they're still essentially the same kind of characters, but their perspectives are a little bit different. You see them in a new light. So for this, and I would even go back to something like Cheers, where Cheers actually did a very good job with that. Like, Sam Malone changed from season 1 all the way to the end. He stopped being the playboy as much. Carla changed. Like, the whole dynamics of relationships changed as things affected the characters.
Right.
And so I know it was, and that probably was an anomaly more so in the 80s, but you just see what a difference it makes when, like, nothing affects a character. Like, Ellen, the effect of Alex dating Ellen has had no effect on him in his life since.
No. And I mean, we're looking at, the big, if we were to look at the Cosby Show, I'm sure that all of those characters grew and changed over time and stuff like that. And, like, Cheers is of its own style and stuff, and same thing, the Cosby Show is the best show of the 80s, sort of, in a lot of ways. As far as sitcoms and 3-camera and stuff like that, but like of the middling, because Family Ties is a middling sitcom. That's the thing. That's why it hasn't aged well.
Right.
But I wonder if normal 80s middling sitcoms were all like this.
Yeah, I think probably so. It was probably your average thing to do. I think because the viewpoint at that point was, hey, people just want to be able to jump into an episode and know what's going on. We
Yeah.
don't want to know history. We don't want to know, I think it was harder to, necessarily sit down and view everything. So they wanted it to be as simple as possible. Alex, you can watch season 1, and if you haven't watched in a while, here's season 3, and it's the same thing kind of happening.
It's true. I mean, I guess Home Improvement's kind of that way.
Yeah. Yeah. They pretty much stay the same. The kids change a little bit, but that's just because they're kids and they're growing up and they have to write them differently. But yeah, I mean, Tim Allen's character really didn't change. The mom didn't change. Nothing really affected those characters.
Wow. So, okay, so now we're really discovering what kind of show Family Ties is. It's just like a family... it's a family sitcom.
It is a family sitcom, but I think even the family sitcom changed at some point. I think when you get to something like Full House, things change in the dynamic of that world over time,
No. I would say the opposite. They
really?
add characters and stuff, but the people don't change.
They're essentially the same, but I just think they function differently. Like Jesse changes a little bit. Joey, you don't think so?
I don't think so at all. In fact, as you were about to say Full House, I was thinking Full House as another example of a show
of the same thing.
It doesn't change. Yeah.
I guess because maybe that is the thing with family sitcoms, is that they don't want the world to change too much.
I would say maybe Roseanne is a show where they do change.
Yeah, that'd probably be the closest, and that's why I guess at the time it was more groundbreaking.
You know what it is? Wholesome. Wholesome is the problem. If your goal is to be wholesome family comedy, and I would say Family Ties is aiming to do that, then you're not trying to shock anybody. You're not trying to change anything. It's just you want to be a safe place for people to come on a Thursday or a Monday or whatever.
Yeah, the regularity is what we want to keep. We keep tuning in for,
and it's fucking boring. Is the thing?
It is fucking boring, which is why I don't think you see that many, family sitcoms these days.
Well, I mean, you have Fuller House on Netflix.
Yeah, but it's still kind of it's just a reboot. It's not anything, it's not changing anything. It's just a continuation of Full House, Just the reboots are pretty much just not wanting to mess with a formula, which makes it even more boring.
Yeah.
I can't think of like it's easier to have like a Friends or a Big Bang where it's a group of friends and it's easier for things to change in their world.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So young screenwriters out there, if you want to write a family sitcom, do something different.
Yeah, you'll get it on CBS. Just make it really boring and racist with retrograde gender and sexual politics.
You're not thinking of anything particular in mind, are you, Paul?
Like everything on CBS's lineup?
I don't even watch CBS. What is on CBS these days?
Just old people sitcoms.
Yeah. That's why, yeah. Okay, so, and we can talk like this because, again, the plot is so simple for this. There's really not a lot of nuance that we have to discuss.
Yeah, so Elise is this architect who designed this building in 1970, she says later on in the episode, and she's really upset that they're going to tear it down to put up a mini mall, which is fine. You can be upset. But, like, you designed a building. It's not like you were there putting the bricks in and stuff like that. It's like...
Yeah.
Also, the other thing that I want to discuss about the Kavanaugh building, it seems to be about a city block when we see the design of it that she brings in. So it's a large building. I feel like we're getting too far away from, like, the plot of the episode for people to know what's happening. Just the quick thing is... You got the A plot with Elise trying to stop them from tearing down the building, and the B plot is shiatsu massage for forever. And then we'll jump in and tell you when that's happening. We'll try to keep you up to speed of like what's happening. But They actually go onto the lot, to the Paramount lot or the whatever lot they're on,
Yes.
filming Family Ties, and they have a rigged up building with the Kavanaugh
Mm-hmm.
house. And you have
Mm-hmm.
the family and Nick coming up to this building with placards where they're going to protest the knocking down of the Kavanaugh house or Kavanaugh building.
Right.
We have, from looking at it, Scott, it seems to be an office building, right? Like a fancy office building.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Like, you know, it has an awning outside. It looks just like, you know, there's nothing like historical or impressive about it. It's an office building.
So at this point, it's 19 years old, this building. It's
Mm-hmm.
a fucking office building. It's not
Right.
like it's housing the indigent or anything. It's not like it's making the world a better place.
It's not like some swanky museum you design, you know. It's there's nothing particularly impressive about it.
It does nothing for the world to make the world a better place. It helps no one. It's just that Elise Keaton built this and she likes it. And so now they're outside protesting.
Paul.
Yeah.
Wait, Paul. We don't know what kind of offices are in that building. There could be some good charitable offices in that building.
There's 3 Planned Parenthoods and a Greenpeace inside.
There you go. All right, so let's not make assumptions.
But it's crazy to me that so Elise and Steven convinced the kids to go with them. Steven's wearing a suit. Alex is wearing like a jacket, like a what do you call it? Like an executive trench coat.
Yeah.
And so they're all dressed up, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the most like upper middle class Hillary Clinton nonsense I've ever seen. Where it's like they're hurting this woman's feelings, and so she's gonna protest this.
Right. That's what's so obnoxious about this. The only one that thinks there should be a protest for this are the Keatons. No one else wants to get on board with this. Like, there's no impact that the Kavanaugh building has had on anybody else except for the Keatons.
Yes.
And really so it's just Elise.
Exactly. So like the kids don't want to be there. Steven's just sort of humoring her a little bit. And it's just ridiculous because it's like it's such a great it's like 2016 and the indictment of the Clinton dynasty, and when we look back and all of the garbage politics of Bill Clinton and the new Democrats coming out of the post-McGovern 72 and like abandoning economic populism and all this stuff. And so like ultimately the death rattle of that type of Democratic Party politics, it's like watching Steven and Elise Keaton, these 2 Berkeley hippies, who are now protesting that a building is getting torn down because she designed it. She didn't even build it. She drew a picture. She drew a picture when she was 25, and now she's sad that it's going away. And so now they're putting all of their political capital into this.
There is a sense of entitlement that she is entitled to have this building stand for fucking ever.
Yes.
Because she designed it.
Yes. Now, it's insane.
It is a little bit insane. Now, I get it. Like, the commentary on, I hate when cool things are torn down and something, commercialism comes in and replaces it with something lame. There's a good example of that is, like, out here, the Brown Derby. Very cool place. Went there a lot in my 20s. Oh,
they're tearing the Brown Derby down?
No, not tearing down. Something maybe a little bit worse, Paula. This happened years ago. But the cool Brown Derby, Swingers. If you saw Swingers, you saw the Brown Derby. Very cool place to go get a drink. And what happened was the owner couldn't make rent payments anymore. It was bought by Chase. It's a Chase bank now. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see something cool become something lame.
That's disgusting.
It's disgusting, right? It's very disgusting. So I get why Elise feels this way. But at the same time,
I have another example, if I may. So the Pittsburgh Playhouse, which is where I went to college, it was a part of Point Park University. It had been built in 1936. It was a bunch of different buildings put together, like a theater, a restaurant, a Jewish temple, and it was all combined into this thing in like the 30s through the 60s, where it bought different buildings. And so it became this huge thing, and it was just this ramshackle conglomerate. and the Pittsburgh Playhouse. And I was born at the hospital literally across the street. I went to college and went to the Playhouse for all of my classes. And when I was a kid, I went to acting classes during the summer in this place. I saw the first play I ever saw in my life when I was 5 years old at the Pittsburgh Playhouse, and now they've abandoned it. They just had a shutdown ceremony, and they're tearing it down to put in a parking lot. From 1936.
This is why capitalism sucks. Become a democratic socialist, guys.
Yes, there you go. All right, so now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. So we can empathize with Elise to a certain extent. We empathize. It sucks when something that's... But again, Elise, your thing wasn't that cool. It was only cool to you. The Pittsburgh Playhouse was cool to a lot of people. The Brown Derby was cool to a lot of people. They even tried. I'm sure there were movements to try to get it to stay open. Same with Brown Derby. They tried to get it marked as like a historical landmark, which it is. And for some reason, capitalism and power, they got denied. Like the Brown Derby is not historical to Hollywood, which is bullshit.
I mean, my God, there's stories of like Sinatra and Humphrey Bogart going there.
Oh yeah, it was where the Cobb salad was invented. Not that that's historical, but that's where it was invented. Like I mean, it was an institution of Hollywood.
I love Cobb salads.
Cobb salad's good. You know, it's a filling salad. Like if you want a meal and you want I want a salad, but what's gonna fill me up? You go with the Cobb salad.
Yeah, I go to Just Salad where I get a healthy Cobb.
Okay.
And
so
they
not
think
light dressing,
bacon.
or
right?
Oh, okay.
No, I put olive oil on it because I'm real healthy.
You are real healthy. I gotta say, man, you're looking svelte. You're looking good.
Really? Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're looking good. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Well, tune into our YouTube page.
Get some pictures of Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like I said, we can empathize with Elise, but at the same time, it's like you said, Paul. It's just an office building. There's nothing unique or special about the Kavanaugh building except to Elise.
Yeah, and all they had to do was make some shit up. They could make it that it's an orphanage, and then you're like, yes! Oh my God, the Kavanaugh building orphanage.
Right? How dare we close it? Then we're on board.
Yeah,
it's a simple little But did you find it very jarring that they shot it outside?
For no reason. They were like, it's going to save more time if we just go outside a building as opposed to building a set.
Yeah, it was so strange to me to see it like suddenly outside.
Yeah, just on film or whatever.
Yeah, they could have easily like just had a simple lobby of the Kavanaugh building and at least looking around and looking at the structure or whatever.
And so during this protest, they go over to this window where Elise had carved into a brick, a nice thing back in 1970, like, this was built by Elise Keaton and on April 14th, 1970, and I love Stephen and Alex. And Jennifer's reading, and I'm like, how big is this fucking brick that they're reading?
I was like, this is a lot on a brick.
Yeah, it seemed like they were almost making like a meta joke here, but they weren't.
Right. Oh, speaking of method jokes, we got to go back a little bit to the shiatsu plot.
Sure.
Which is fine, audience. We're just going to jump back and forth. It's okay. But before they actually go to the Kavanaugh building, Mallory is practicing shiatsu on Nick, and they have one of the most ridiculous jokes I have ever seen on Family Ties. She's giving him a massage and saying, how it loosens you up and allows, your blood to flow and everything to the brain and make you smarter and think faster. And they have a sound effect of a boop. Like, Nick is suddenly like, where the hell did that come from? No human body makes that noise.
And then immediately he says what the square root of like 169 is or something. It's just like, what? Now he's smart because he got a massage?
And he does it with the same delivery the Scarecrow does when he gets his brain in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, yeah. Which, if you're going to play it, that is the way to do it.
You're right. You're right. But it's just so bizarre.
And then she tries to give Alex a massage and, like, breaks his back.
Yeah, and he's, like, hunched over, and then all of a sudden he's able to get back up. They kept going back and forth with Alex in pain and not in pain.
And then Steven comes in, and she's like, Dad, let me give you one. And Alex is giving him the, like, Ixnay, no.
Right. Yeah. So they had this, okay, so back to the Kavanaugh building. They had this protest, And the next thing, I think we're back in the living room, and this is when Elise is looking at, like, says, "Hey, you guys want to see something cute?" And everyone thinks it's baby pictures, but it's pictures of the Kavanaugh building. She has taken a series of pictures over the years of the Kavanaugh building.
At one point, she says to Steven that she will drive 2 minutes out of her way every day every day to go look at this one building.
We need to point. It's an office building. It's just I get her sense of pride over it. Like, that was my, like, Paul. We've had, maybe it's because we're actors and we're very used to things ending. Like, we get gigs and they end. You and I are still not mourning the end of the Snow White show.
Well, I mean, in some ways we kind of are, or else we wouldn't have made this podcast.
That's true. Okay. Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying. She's made other things since then. It just doesn't add up, folks. That's the thing. This just doesn't add up. If it were something where she built a house for someone, then it would make more sense. Like, she built this house for a family that she really liked, and the family's getting like, they can't make their mortgage payments or something. You know, that would make more sense. But having it be an office building is just crazy.
That would have been a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
Again, we write the episode better.
Yeah. For her old friend, they had kids at the same time as the Keatons, and she built the house for them, and you know, all this shit.
They're gonna tear it down. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, again, it's like the writers don't know how to insert any stakes into their plot lines.
And that's just it. That's totally it.
Yeah. And then Alice kind of explains the financial realities to Elise in his capitalistic way.
Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere.
So I'll try to quote him as best I can. He basically says, "Guy owns a building. He can do with it whatever he wants. That's the beauty of capitalism. It's so great for the wealthy," or something like that.
Yeah, that's more or less what he says.
Yeah. Paul?
I mean, he's not wrong in a lot of what he says. There might be zoning issues that they do talk about in this episode and stuff like that with regard to, like, they need to change the zoning from, I guess, one office building to another. I don't know. Or the zoning for mini malls might be different than just a building or something. I don't know. But, like...
Yeah, they go a lot back and forth on permits and zoning. Like, they go down for the protest, they go down because they know that they haven't gotten the permits. But yet at the protest, a guy comes up and basically says, "Yeah, I'm the demolition guy. We're going to knock it down on Friday." So those permits happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And so as far as Alex talking about, like, capitalism and saying that, like, you know, if if you own the building, then ultimately it's yours to do with as you please, I would say.
True.
Unless there are laws prohibiting any sort of action or permits or legal loopholes that you have to jump through in order to change a building, then there you go. But otherwise, it's yours. You get to do with it what you want. That's how this works.
Exactly. Very true. And Elise comes up with a plan that she is going to talk with the owner and appeal to his sense of civic duty and pride to keep the Kavanaugh building. Thus, again, Elise being a little delusional of the impact the Kavanaugh building has had on the community in Columbus, Ohio.
It's the same sort of delusion that would lead one to say, "I'm going to peel off normal Republican voters in, like, the suburbs of Philadelphia instead of going to, like, Wisconsin and Michigan to make sure that your voters are primed and ready to go to the polls on November 8th." You know,
right? Yeah.
Saying, you know, I'm going to appeal to their good nature, and they obviously know this other guy's terrible. So I'm just.
I don't need to go there. I'm going to avoid that. Yeah, don't need that.
Yeah. I'm gonna peel off the sensible Republicans. Is the same thing as I'm going to go to this guy's office and appeal to his sense of good faith. I don't know what. Like, she's going to tell him not to tear down this building and put up something else.
Right. And then we meet Mr. Willis.
Well, before we get there, I think we should take a commercial break, don't you?
I think we need to.
Yeah, Mr. Willis is something else. And with that, we'll be right back. And we're back into the left. Back into the left. I say that, Scott Jones, because the guy playing Mr. Willis is from the movie JFK.
Yeah, he looked familiar. What part did he play in JFK?
He plays the back into the left guy.
Oh, he's the guy that says it? No, that's Costner, right?
Yeah, so in the courtroom scene, because I've seen JFK way too many times.
We can do a podcast on how many times you've watched JFK and talk about every character.
That's very true. But like, so the guy that's playing Kennedy in the courtroom when he's showing where the magic bullet goes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you've got, I think, Wayne Knight in the front seat, where he would be playing Connolly in the courtroom. And then the other guy, it's Mr. Willis sitting in the back, and he's Kennedy, so he's showing where the thing, and the back into the left and all that stuff. So
right, the back to the left. Yep, you're right. I know he sounded familiar.
Yeah.
This guy, Mr. Willis, how would you describe him, Paul?
The banality of evil.
Yeah. With the banality of evil, and also maybe gotten hit on the head with a brick a little bit too.
A brick signed by Elise Keaton in 1970.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
This is a very interesting scene. I was very intrigued by this scene.
Yes, there was some commentary in this scene about, I think, what was the big start of these pop-up malls, strip malls, kind of happening, grab-and-go kind of places, popping up more and more across the country.
The chainification of America, the like dispensable, just miles and miles of the same from coast to coast. Franchises everywhere. That's what this scene. Yeah. This scene is just about that. And honestly, if Family Ties was about this all the time, it would have been such an interesting show.
Absolutely. They should have made it revolve around this guy more.
Yeah.
And what he stood for. So, yeah, so she tries to appeal to a sense of decency. And she actually, this is what's blew my mind in this and reinforced the whole chainification idea, is she actually makes a very good pitch to him. Her first pitch is, keep the building, and inside you can renovate it, and there is your mini mall.
And there's some interesting things like that in New York City, where when Giuliani came into the mayor's office, he Disneyfied Times Square, as they say, where they tore down a bunch of theaters, Broadway theaters that had been there for 50, 60, 70 years, and replaced them with other new crappy theaters. And one of them, what they did was, it was this theater that's on the west side of 42nd or 43rd Street.
Right.
Where it's now an AMC 25. It's like the biggest movieplex in New York City. It's where, you just like tons and tons of theater space.
Yeah.
But if you go in the lobby of the AMC 25, they have a proscenium from the old original theater that was there.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, if you go into the theater, you can see they, like, because of the deal that the city made with AMC and Lowe's and all this different stuff, is that they kept parts of it to be historically landmark and stuff like that. And there's, like, plaques in places and stuff like that. So it's interesting that it's exactly what you're saying, exactly what Elise is proposing, which is a sort of, like, I don't know, a mix of the two, finding common ground.
Yeah. Right. And I was thinking about it, it's like, that seems like it would be even more cost effective than to demolish what is just essentially an office building, instead of and then having to build a new structure, instead of just gutting the office building, which is just, you don't have to preserve anything, like with your example. You just have to gut it out, put your stores in.
Well, you say that, Scott, but I would actually kind of argue Mr. Willis's point here. So after she makes her two pitches, she tries to hard sell him. She tries to be like, I have this design, and this is what you're going to do, and I don't have any other plan, so you have to say yes. And he's like, okay, well, thanks for coming. And she's like, oh, in that case, I have a second one. And she shows him a helium mall. And then he's like, no, 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 come over here. And he takes her and he walks her over from behind his desk to the wall where he has pictures of the first mini mall he ever built. And then he's got, but what he has is 16 in a grid, 16 pictures of the same mini mall.
Yes.
And so to me, what his business model is what you have found in late stage capitalism, which is when you're privatizing things, when you're a private company with like a monopoly of the business sector of the town or whatever, you can build whatever the fuck you want, and you can save costs as much as you want because you have the only game in town. And so so these mini malls are all drab, and it's funny because he says, oh, this one's this one and this one's that, and she's like, how can you tell them apart? And he's like, it doesn't matter. And that, to me, is the most satirical part of this thing, is just that it's like, ultimately, this is what capitalism looks like. It's just selling for more money and giving and spending less to make it.
Yes.
So putting profit over the product.
The content is irrelevant.
Exactly. Content is irrelevant and profit is king.
Is that what we just talked about with, like, family sitcoms?
That's kind of it, isn't it?
Content irrelevant, you just jump in there and there's your show. This is the show. The content doesn't matter.
And it's actually kind of ironic, too, in the sense of, this is, 1989, the Berlin Wall is about to fall, and communism is about to fall apart with regard to, like, the evil empire of the Soviet Union. And, it's the 80s, so with Reagan in power saber-rattling about the evils of communism and stuff like that, the big thing, like, if you watch Rocky IV and other, like, Red Dawns and stuff like that, is how they were all these robotic automatons, and like no one had individual freedom in the Soviet Union. Like these are the things that we were told as kids, right?
Right. Like they're all that you are a product of the state.
Yes, exactly. The state tells you what to do. You don't get to choose everything. Everyone has the same clothes. No one, there's no individuality.
Right.
And what you're seeing here with this wall of mini mall photos is capitalism has the same drive to autocracy, where it's just not state-run. And I'm not saying that communism is a state-run endeavor. Like socialism, the goal is not to have a state tell you what to do. It's to democratize the economy, right? But what happened in the Soviet Union is a problem because they're coming out of a bunch of different factors, including what happened with Stalin.
Exactly.
But it's interesting that capitalism, in this case with the mini malls, and we see it today, is that it destroys individuality at the expense of profit. Whereas the argument they were making at the time is communism or Soviet communism destroys individuality because the state tells you what to do. So we're seeing a mirror image of itself, and we found that the final product of this pure capitalism of Reagan over the course of 35, 40 years, it gets the same result, which is it destroys individuality, and it destroys any sort of like joy in life. It's just these mini malls that are created by these guys in order to advance a bottom line.
That is an amazing thesis paper, Paul.
Thank you. But I think
seriously, I've never thought like that perspective is so fast. Like the result is the same. That's amazing.
Yes. Capitalism has nothing to do with freedom, and it only makes the world a worse place.
Yes.
And it destroys any sort of individuality. It destroys happiness. It destroys everything. And and this scene, I would say, if you're gonna watch an episode of Family Ties, we have like 5 of them that we've recommended. Don't even watch this episode.
7 seasons, 5 episodes.
Don't even watch this episode, but watch this scene. It's so interesting. I don't know how they fell ass backward into creating this very interesting conversation and sort of satirical look at capitalism, but they did it. This is a good thing in Family Ties. This is what they should have been trying to shoot for the past 7 seasons.
You're right, because he even makes this statement. I love the regularity of it. I love it. I love the regularity. I can get this. I can get my film developed, get a T-shirt, and grab a Slurpee. I love that.
Yes, and that's the other stuff.
Capitalism. Yeah.
No, and not just that, but like that was the sell that like these superstores and going to a supermarket and all these different things.
Right.
In the old days, you would have to go from store to store to store. So the ease and time-saving, cost-saving measures of your Walmarts and stuff like that is we're making it better for the consumer, but eventually that starts to not be the case anymore.
Right. When you have companies that are, forming a conglomerate, monopolizing everything, and there's no competitive playing field anymore.
Yeah, and then things start to drop. Like, you ever had a comfortable chair on an airplane lately? Have you ever had a nice flight?
Right. Exactly.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, God forbid you have decent food, right? Yeah, exactly. The dwindles, but there's also even the statement of at least like he talks about his first, go and grab or whatever, and at least goes, well, how would you feel if it was torn down? All right, tore it down. Like, yes. That's how disposable everything he has built is.
Yes, and I love it. I love it. He's almost like a character from Network, like the Patty Chayefsky film.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The way that Diane, what's her name, that was in Bonnie and Clyde?
Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway, like the character that she plays is supposed to be like born of television. Like everything about her is this sort of sociopathic, like everything is the same level of heightened nothingness. And so she's like embodies TV and stuff like that. And everyone's sort of like a satirical and like a character that's symbolic of a thing. Like they're a little bit higher than just a person in Network. And this guy is just like pure garbage capitalism, garbage American capitalism. And it's amazing. I really like it.
Yeah. And I love like there's no apology with him at all.
No,
like he does not give a fuck at all.
He's like Anton Sugar from No Country for Old Men.
Yes. And the last thing he says, like his response to when she's like, when she thinks she's getting through to him, the last thing he says to her is, "You ever got an itch on the back of your neck that you just couldn't reach?" Like he does. It's just the most I don't care statement.
Yeah. Oh God, I totally forgot about that. Like, what was it in reference to? She asked him something.
She's going in for a last like appeal to his senses, like really trying to sell him on this, and the actor does a great job. He puts his hand back and like, puts the hand on his back of his neck, and it looks like he might be considering what she's saying. Like, okay. And then she's like, "What do you say, Mr. Willis?" And he just pauses for a second and goes, "You ever got an itch on the back of your neck that you just couldn't get?" And that's it. Like that sums up the character perfectly.
Yeah, he's just not even a human being. Is what this is telling us. This scene.
Yes. And so
amazing scene, great scene.
It really is. It really, like, for an episode that doesn't have a lot going on, this scene is actually, it's even, as we've talked about it, way deeper than I even took it in at the first time around. So, but then we kind of get to our closing scene. It's in the Keaton's bedroom. And, again, this is kind of like a traditional wrap-up scene. They're just talking about, Lisa's sad. The buildings, she thinks the building's being torn down, and it's confirmed when Jennifer comes in with the brick. They found the brick.
In perfect mint condition, by the way.
Yeah. A wrecking ball went through this building, and it's in perfect condition. Yeah, completely carved. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that's a nice souvenir. That's a nice memory right there.
Yeah, if I were Elise, that would be the one thing I would want to take. Is if you can carve that, I would have tried to like negotiate that and be like, "Hey, can you knock that out?" But apparently the Keatons were just robbing like.
Yeah, what were they doing? The kids went to go get this. Yeah. Like, what were they doing down there? It's at night.
They went in the dead of night with hard hats and shoe polish under their eyes, and started going through all of the rubble.
I want to see that scene. Yeah, and then, oh God, Steven has this long monologue of, "I'll look at you and I'll see that face of a 25-year-old so excited to get her, design her first building. And then I'll remember the 19-year-old I fell in love with, and the girl who became a mother. And it's just this long, like, I'm going to remember this, all the stages of your life, Elise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is whereas they fell ass backwards into a great examination of capitalism and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
the the Gary David Goldbergness of it being like, oh my god, we love each other and we used to be more attractive when we were younger bullshit is like so peak Goldberg that it's just like whatever. Like every time they need to love each other, Steven talks about how she used to be hot. You know, it's like that's the whole thing. That's all he does.
Yeah, it's in the past. It's always in past tense. Like it's never like right here, right now is I love you. Like even when he was and same for Elise, when he's having a heart attack, it's all about memories and stuff. It's not like right here, right now, you know, the love I feel for you. Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that all feeling has to come from the past. Anything that matters is something that happened before.
Right. And then, you know, it ends kind of abruptly with, you know, Mallory coming in and saying, Dad, you look tense. Or Mom, you look tense. Let me give you a massage. And Alex jumps and says, no, and freeze frame. And that's it. Yeah.
So we talk, this. I think this is a long episode, but it's all right. I think we had a good chat.
We had a great chat.
Are there things that we missed that?
That's the thing.
The shiatsu stuff is just garbage. Like every time they came, it was just bits upon bits.
Yeah, we you know, there was the shiatsu scene where like they're all laying on the floor and Steven wants to join in and they all sound like they've joined a cult, which again is like kind of this weird like not understanding shiatsu massage like it's brainwashing now, which is strange. Nick had that creepy line to Steven of you can just stay here and talk to me and enjoy being with me. Like it's like, and Jennifer's like, we're basking in the afterglow.
That was creepy.
It was a creepy scene.
Yeah,
it was a very creepy scene. But really, again, it was like these two. They almost were like two A plots going back and forth. Like it would go back and forth from the shiatsu to the Kavanaugh building.
Yeah, they really had nothing to do with each other, and they really didn't interplay that well. It was just like they would just jump back and forth with no real rhyme or reason from one plot to the other.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I think this actually made me feel better about this episode, our discussion.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to be here to help with that. Do you think if we recommended this to Corey that he would feel the same way, or you think he would just hate it?
He would hate it. He would not want to sit through this at all. There is no way Corey would want. Corey would be like, "This is dribble. I don't want to watch this."
Yeah.
I think, and this is only coming out from us just kind of spitballing and talking that we're getting to this stuff. Because really, just in initial watching of this, you're just like, "Okay, I'm getting through another episode of Family Ties."
Yeah, this is honestly like when people do like recaps or talkings about the prequels, the Star Wars prequels.
Yes.
And the ideas in the Star Wars prequels are very interesting, but they are garbage films that like.
Oh yes, there's some. Yeah.
Like if you actually talk about them, it sounds like they're very interesting, but they're the complete opposite. And this episode falls into that same paradigm.
Yeah. That's a great example. Is like, ideas are there, execution not so much.
Yeah, but I recommend everybody, if you're listening, watch that Mr. Willis scene. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and and you made a very good point. It's what Family Ties should have more of. It's too bad we're just seeing stuff like this in season 7. There should be more incidences of this. Because I mean, if that's the hat they put the hook they put their hat on is the political aspects of Elise and Steven and Alex. The difference, and they don't really use that enough.
No, they never did.
Yeah. So
it was hard for them. I think it was just too hard. They didn't know what to talk about. They didn't want to alienate anybody.
Yeah.
And so they really didn't. They didn't try.
And I think it's because it's a family sitcom.
No.
They could. I mean, if it had been like a workplace sitcom, like a Murphy Brown, politics can be injected a little easier here and there. But this, with a family sitcom, I think it just got clear to them, like, no one wants to see a family divided over politics. which is sad.
But they did it with All in the Family, and it's just funny that 10 years later they couldn't do it again.
Yes, it can be done. It can easily be done. Yeah.
Now, anyway, so you want to get out of here?
Let's get out of here. That's our show for this week, guys. If you, for questions and updates, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. And you can and for updates, follow us on Twitter at QTWFT. Each of us is also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler, and Corey is at Core Pep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media, providing its readers with daily insights and reviews into the geek pop culture spectrum. They are also an independent comic book publisher. Check out everything that they do. We'd like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song Without Us. Check out her music at perryadams.com. We'd like to thank Brian Dillon, Fanbase Press's president, and our editor. And we'd like to thank Sean Foster, our Fanbase Press's graphic designer, who also designed our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye!
Sha-la-la-la! Bye!
Join the DSA!